We've been previewing numerous events in the run-up to the 2024 Paris Olympics, and now it's time to shine the light on one of the biggest hometown favorites for these games, Leon Marchand, and how he'll stack up in the men's 200 IM. Currently, these are the 10 fastest swimmers this season that will be able to compete in Paris. This list is led by defending 2021 Olympic champion Wang Xun. Wang ripped a 154.62 at the start of the season at the Asian Games. Not only does that land him atop the current world rankings, it is also a personal best time, beating out his 155.00 that won him Olympic gold 3 years ago. Just over a second behind is Carson Foster in 155.65. Foster's time here is also a lifetime best, coming from the US Olympic trials. And just on the heels of Foster is Leon Marchand with a 155.74 from the Speedo Grand Challenge. Shane Casas at 4th in 155.83 and Duncan Scott in 5th with 155.91 make up the last of our sub 156 second swims. Let's dive into the splits of some of the top ranked swimmers for this season. Casas unsurprisingly takes things out very quickly, the only swimmer under 24 seconds at the 50-meter mark. Casas also splits very fast on the second 50, but here he is outsplit by Wang, who has the fastest second 50. And as is expected, Marchand has the fastest breaststroke split of the entire field, splitting a 33.06. On the final 50, Foster holds the fastest closing split in 27.57. Based on these splits, we can see that Wang is a serious threat in this event. While he's only the absolute fastest on the backstroke leg, his other 3 splits all stay within striking distance of the other swimmers, with no points where he falls way behind the field. As stated earlier, Wang is the defending Olympic champion in this event. In Tokyo, he unleashed a massive personal best time of 155.00. That beat out his previous best time of 156.27 that he had just posted the year prior. In the initial years after that swim, Wang wasn't able to quite match that 155 flat. At the 2022 World Championships, he would clock a 159.51 in the prelims and then a 201.35 in the semis, placing 16th and missing the final. And again, at 2023 Worlds, it was a similar story. He placed 16th in the prelims with a 159.05, just barely making it to the semifinals. And in the semis, he was a 157.97 to place 11th and missed the final for a second straight year. But just a couple of months later, in September of 2023, Wang swam his personal best time of 154.62 at the Asian Games. This makes it seem pretty clear that these games were more of a focus meet for Wang than that year's Worlds. That 154.62 is very fast. It makes him the 3rd fastest performer ever, just behind Ryan Lochte and Michael Phelps. It also notably jumped Wang over Leon Marchand in the all-time rankings. Marchand has been the star of the IMs in the years after Tokyo, and it's not hard to tell why. In 2022, Marchand swept the IM event, with his 200 IM coming with a time of 155.22 for a new personal best. And again, in 2023, Marchand was on fire. He got things started by breaking the world record in the 400 IM, taking Michael Phelps's final individual world record off of the books. He then lowered his own personal best to a 154.82 in the 200 IM while sweeping the events for the 2nd year in a row. For someone as impactful as Marchand in these events, it might be surprising to see him currently ranked 3rd in the world this season, over a second behind the fastest swimmer for the season. But it's worth remembering that we haven't seen Marchand perform at his full potential this season, because he really hasn't had to. As previously mentioned, Wang seemed to be targeting the Asian Games for his peak performance last season, but due to the timing of that meet, its results count towards the 2023 to 2024 season results. To Wang's credit, he was a 155.35 at the Chinese Olympic trials, which would also place him as the fastest man this season. Carson Foster and Shane Casas also had to be on their A game in order to even qualify to swim the event in Paris due to the depth of US trials. The same could also be said for Duncan Scott, especially considering the fact that he had to compete for an individual spot in the 200 free, an insanely competitive event for the Brits. Meanwhile, Marchand had no such reason to rest for any of his meets this season. He won this event at the French Olympic trials by almost 3 full seconds while being a bit slower than his season best. Currently, Marchand is maintaining the same pattern that he held last year, going a 155 high in season and then a 156 low at French trials. But with that being said, Wang does still hold a faster personal best than Marchand, and he is the defending Olympic champion. But on the other hand, both times Marchand went out and won world titles, Wang wasn't even present in the final. This looks like it has the potential to be an epic battle between these two swimmers, a battle that we haven't gotten to see before. Let's switch things up and compare these two swimmers swimmers splits from their best times. Wang would have had the early lead at the 50 by a bit less than half a second. Marchand would make up some ground on the backstroke, which is surprising as that is typically seen as his weakest stroke. What isn't surprising is Marchand dominating the breaststroke leg, dropping a massive 32.94, but then Wang would go by Marchand on the freestyle. If both swimmers are at their absolute best this summer, then this could be one of the most exciting races to watch as they trade leads back and forth. Some of the other swimmers in the mix also have their fair share of history in this event. Carson Foster is the 2022 and 2024 world silver medalist in this event. Duncan Scott is the reigning Olympic silver medalist as well as the 2023 world silver medalist. The sixth fastest swimmer this season, Finlay Knox, is the reigning world champion in this event after winning the 2024 world title. Shane Casas has yet to win a world's or Olympic medal in this event, but he is one of the all-time fastest swimmers in this event. His personal best of 1:55.24 makes him the 7th fastest performer ever, just a little bit ahead of Scott in the 9th spot. Looking at this field as a whole, it looks like a two-man race for the gold medal as the 3rd and 4th fastest swimmers ever will be throwing down at Paris. Will Wang manage to keep the momentum as the fastest swimmer this season, or will Marchand win the gold in front of a home crowd? Only time will tell. But who do you think will win the event in Paris? Let me know down below, and let me know what event you want to see covered next as we inch closer and closer to these Olympics finally arriving.